What's up everybody, AKB for Hire. So this is a new kind of video I'm doing. It's not a reaction, more it's a let me watch the music video, react to it, and then analyze it after the fact. For this video, obviously by the title, it's about BTS's Spring Day. Now, there are a lot of theories going on about this and trying to make all the connections that's really in it. So I'm here just going over my thoughts after I digested everything, gave it some time to really sink in, and started making all these connections that may or may not actually be what BTS was going for, but I thought I'd give it a shot anyway. And let me know if you guys agree with me or disagree with me or even have anything else to add on. But here we go. So in my mind, we got to break this up into different parts. So the first part that I want to break it up into is sort of what is one of the big stories that this music video is pulling from, and that is the ones who walk away from Omelas. So it's a short story, and essentially it involves talking about this utopian society that has everybody happy, no strife, no hatred, no negative emotions, except for this one child who's in the basement of a building who has to suffer to let everybody else live happily, I should say. And when the citizens of the town reach a certain age, they come to learn of the child. Now, most people leave upset or angry, and they just kind of like wallow home, and they're very upset about it, but that's all they do. And then you have some who are quiet about it, and then they actually end up doing something, which in this case, in the whole idea of the short story, is they walk away. They walk away from Omelas. How does that really tie into the whole BTS thing? I see it tying in two ways. The first one is childhood. So it really deals with the whole BTS, they're losing their innocence, their childhood, and they're becoming adults. The second one is what has been theorized about this music video, is talking about the Sewol ferry tragedy, which was this tragedy that happened a few years ago in South Korea where a ferry sunk and many people died in it. We do know that BTS members did donate for the funds for the families of those affected by the tragedy, and also we know that there's some there's a lot of symbolism that we're going to talk about, because it's so hard to ignore and say that there is no relation. I fully believe that they deliberately put in parts talking about the ferry incident. The reason I'm pointing here is because my monitor is right behind you guys, so that's what I'm pointing at. For the ferry accident, a yellow ribbon was used in memory to remember who had passed away and sort of remember that tragedy and make sure people don't forget. And I believe for BTS, they made one of their album covers yellow, and it looked like their wings circles were a yellow ribbon matching that. So if you look within the BTS Spring Day music video, there's actually that whole, broken down swing set that says "You Never Walk Alone" on it, that it's yellow. It seems like it's sort of signifying that they are still talking about this ship tragedy. For instance, they had the scene by the water with the shoes putting down, which is supposed to signify someone dying. So obviously, since it's by a body of water, showing that, they're still in support of that. So really, those are key scenes that point to the whole idea of them talking about the ferry tragedy. Now, the other thing I was mentioning is that it's also supposed to show their departure from childhood into adulthood. And I feel like that's pretty clear in the music video if you just look at it a bit. So you have scenes where they're all having fun, celebrating like a birthday with a cake that's sparkling, and they all seem super happy having a food fight, and then all of a sudden it kind of cuts to another scene where when they're back in that state, they're all sitting very somber on the sofa looking at this cake. To me, that's sort of it's their birthday where they know that they're becoming adults, so they're not as happy with it, right? They're showing that they're very somber, that they know what's coming, and that they know they have to let go of their childhood. It's something that they really don't want to let go of, but they know they have to at some point in time. So what I think is super clever is that BTS actually took the ferry incident and combined it with Omelas, sort of using Omelas as a metaphor to talk about the ferry incident in their music video, where they have scenes where 6 of the members are walking up the stairs and they kind of leave one by themselves. And that's sort of going with the whole idea of, oh, wait, so in Omelas, there's one person in the basement and they're going now up the basement. In the story, there are times where they give food and water to the child, to make sure the child survives, who's in misery, and the child asks and begs to be let out and that they'll be good. And the one man who gives the food and water just kind of leaves with a group of other people who are with him. He's the only one who says anything to them, but there's more than one person. And they all go away and leave that kid alone. So essentially, the man doesn't let the kid leave or move. So I think you know what I'm getting at. During the ferry accident, I believe what was said is that the captain actually, over the loudspeakers, told the people on board not to leave, that they should stay put. I'm relating that to the Omelas, the child who was miserable, where they're not allowed out. So they were essentially comparing the poor passengers to this Omela's child, where it's not necessarily that the outside world is glorious and that they're suffering. They have to be there and suffer to make everybody else happy, but that's sort of their way of connecting it. And what happened after the tragedy? You had people who were upset, for sure. You had people who were sad, and I guarantee you just had people who were silent for a while. They just didn't know what to say. And instead, we had BTS, who were sort of the silent ones, and by silent, I mean they were silent, and then instead of just having an emotion, they took action, right? So like in the Omelas story, you had people taking action. They didn't show any emotions at the time, but they took action by leaving the city. In this case, BTS took action by donating to the families. So I think in that regard, they are once again the ones who left Omelas. And it's not leaving Omelas as in they're leaving and ignoring the tragedy. It's that they are actually deciding to, help the ones who are in need, and maybe help put awareness to make sure that events like this don't happen again. The one thing that's different is the whole phrase, "you never walk alone." So in Omelas, the main theme at the end is everybody who did walk away from Omelas walked alone. So if you actually read, there's like a whole passage, and it says this. I'll read a part of this, but I'll put the whole paragraph that I'm talking about on screen right now so you guys can see exactly what I mean. At times, one of the adolescent girls or boys who go to see the child does not go home to weep or rage, does not in fact go home at all. Sometimes also a man or woman much older falls silent for a day or two, and then leaves home. These people go out into the street and walk down the street alone. They keep walking and walk straight out of the city of Omelas, through the beautiful gates. They keep walking across the farmlands of Omelas. Each one goes alone, youth, or girl, man, or woman. Night falls. The traveler must pass down village streets, between the houses with yellow-lit windows, and on out into the darkness of the fields. Each alone, they go west or north towards the mountains. They go on. They leave Omelas, they walk ahead into the darkness, and they do not come back. So that's where I'll stop reading it. But what I'm getting at is it's saying that everybody's going in their different directions by themselves. So in relating to this whole tragedy is that there is this solidarity. Everybody's together. You're not going to be going through this alone. You're not grieving alone. You're not going to be supporting alone. There's everybody who's unified together. What's interesting about this issue is it's dealing with world events that happened and referencing to them, and also sort of like the personal lives of BTS, which is childhood. Because that line, that paragraph I just said, can also be applied to them. Not everybody becomes an adult at once. Everybody goes through some coming of age moment that lets them become an adult, right? It's not like everybody's like, oh, okay, I'm an adult, I pay taxes now, and I don't believe in Santa anymore. It's like everybody goes at their own different pace to really become an adult. But at the same time, you're not going through that alone. There are always going to be people around you. So I think that's what they're trying to say. And another way to point that it's talking about Omelas is if you look, even at the laundry scene, this is me sort of grasping at straws, but right here, they show the laundry and it says, "Never forget," on the sticker, and then right after, they show the other side, where it looks like a porthole of a ship, right? Like I said, that could be me grasping at straws. I don't know. Speaking of the laundry room and what does the laundry even mean, I took forever to really try to even understand or piece together what it was, and I think I finally got it. So I think what it's talking about is sort of letting things build up without taking care of them. So that's like piles of dirty laundry, like literally me having some right there, but I'm not going to show you because that's embarrassing. But it's showing piles of dirty laundry that you're not getting to. You're letting things building up. You're not really, going through them the right way. And that can happen. So I think what they're trying to get at is, you may have troubles or some things build up, as in the stresses of growing up, the stresses of everything getting to you. And the whole "you never walk alone" thing, that ties back in to when they have this scene where they're all walking except one, and then eventually he joins them. Why? Because you don't need to walk alone, and they're really trying to drive that point home. In the cases for the childhood and in case of the ferry incident, they're both it's very cleverly done, where almost every scene, in a sense, you can relate to both the real world event and the sort of the internal human side that BTS is experiencing. Very clever, by the way. The one part that I didn't even mention is the train. So for that, I sort of see that as adulthood and childhood. The ones on the train are the ones who are actually going towards adulthood, which is why even though you only see one member in the beginning, you see all 7 afterwards just sort of traveling. This is just me basing everything I'm saying right now on the video itself. So I also want to talk about the lyrics too. If you read like the very first verse from Rapmon, it's just saying "miss you, saying this makes me miss you even more." miss you, even though I'm looking at your photo, time's so cool, I hate us seeing each other for once, it's now so hard between us. So right there, those lyrics, and I hope these are very accurate, is once again pointing to, it could be either both the ferry incident, talking about how, you know, physically, literally how the families are feeling when they look at photos of their loved ones who passed away, thinking that time is so cool because no matter what, you look at these pictures and you have these frozen moments in time that make all the emotions come back. But when you're talking about childhood, it could just be them looking at old pictures of themselves when they were younger, hating that they can't attain that again. It's all winter here, even in August. That I see, you know, they're going through a dark time. Very cold, you feel cold, and you don't know what to do. And then Ratmon mentions Snowpiercer. So the Snowpiercer, I had to look this up, is based on a movie. And the plot, I don't think really ties into it, but it essentially is this train of the last remaining humans on this cold world using it to survive. So in this reference, I think what it is it's supposed to be the train that they go on and that they use to wait out the darkness. They're all together on the train, you know, not alone, making sure that they will help each other through the rough times until they can find spring, which is, you know, the good times again, or when you're out of a rough patch. Most of the song really plays on that, where it just talks about how you're going through darkness and it hurts. It just really hurts, and it's really using as a remembrance. It's so cleverly done, where the way everything is framed in terms of their singing and the lyrics is made in such a way where it really could be about just any tragedy or anything that makes you hurt and miss. You can relate to it, and it's like a recovery process, right? Where you miss it, and it's talking about how like the morning will come again. This whole thing of me just kind of ranting, not really a rant, it just boils down to me thinking how BTS Spring Day is essentially talking about how we're all wishing for the spring day whenever we're going through rough times, and that we don't have to go through it alone. And it's referencing to the fairy tragedy, saying that we're all one, and we all, you know, make sure that this doesn't happen again, and that we will do something differently than the ones who walk away from Omelas, which is we will walk away together. Whoa, okay, so that was like 2 hours of me just doing analysis, so what do you guys think? So those are really just my thoughts on it. Let me know if you think I missed anything, or if you want to add anything else that I have said, or, you know, say that I'm just completely wrong and it was about daffodils or something. I don't know what the music video is about, you know, whatever you want. What I do know is that BTS is very good and very clever at making me read books, look into more of what they did, and really just enjoy their music even more. So thank you for that, BTS. And thank you guys for watching. So if you like this style, let me know, because I was thinking about doing this for a lot of music videos. Some won't have as much of a storyline or plot behind it, but I was thinking about reviewing them in a more traditional sense, where I just talk about how I felt about the music video and, you know, digesting it after the fact, reading the lyrics, doing a bit more interpretation instead of on-the-spot analysis, and giving my own review of if I liked it or not. And I'm not sure if you could guess from this and the length of this video, I did like it. I really liked what BTS had to offer in this one. But yeah, let me know if there's any other music videos that you want me to do a more in-depth analysis for. I was thinking about doing this for 2 reasons. One, I would love to do analysis to songs that I can't react to, you know, like things that get copywritten, so we can at least discuss them together. And 2, it's just a lot of fun doing this. It felt like branching out and doing something new. Anyway, as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, peace.